made it! Welcome to the Smokies, everybody's happy place. Now this could be your first trip to the Smokies, it might be your 101st trip to the Smokies, doesn't matter. There's always new things to discover. That's where I come in. I'm Brittany, and for the next little bit I'm going to show you some fun things to see and do while you're here in the Smokies. And we might just learn a thing or two along the way. So, come with me. No, seriously, we got stuff to do. Let's go. Most of the land that makes up the national park was privately owned, primarily by logging and pulpwood companies. The hard part was getting enough contributions to purchase the land. The money was finally raised, and in 1934, after 10 years of fundraising, over 515,000 acres officially became the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and was dedicated by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Here in the Great Smokies, we have come together to dedicate these mountains and streams and forests, the thousands of them, to the service of the millions of American people.
We know humans lived here 11,000 years ago, possibly longer. It seems a group of Iroquois Indians migrated south from the New England area and settled in various places around the southern Appalachian Mountains. And as time moved on, they became known as the Cherokee. With the abundance of wildlife and their development of agriculture, the Cherokee were, for the most part, living the good life. Then around 1540, the Europeans showed up. Well, there goes the neighborhood. By the late 18th century, European settlers began to show up here in large numbers. The two sides made an effort to get along, but when you put two totally different cultures together, you're going to have problems. Attempts were made to settle disagreements by drawing up treaties and establishing legal code. Well, none of this worked.
Then in 1828, gold was discovered in North Georgia. Well, this changed everything. The European attitude was, let's don't let them get the gold. 2 years later, President Andrew Jackson signed the Removal Act, and the Cherokee Nation was relocated to what is now Oklahoma, and their journey became known as the Trail of Tears. While the law stated all Cherokee must move west, we all know not everybody obeys the law. In this case, there was a handful of Cherokee that hid way back in the Smokies and somehow managed to survive. Then in 1889, the Qualla Indian Reservation was established. Now, what happened after that is coming up right after this.
Since 1994, Little Dolly's Factory Store has offered the largest collection of patchwork quilts and throws in the Southeast. With over 300 designs available, each quilt reflects its own Southern charm and hospitality. Every week, there's a great selection of closeout quilts at half price. Also, see Little Dolly's world-famous original Southern Belle dresses for little girls and dolls. They're made right in the store, making it the only real factory store in Pigeon Forge. So be sure and visit Little Dolly's Factory Store on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge.
From the late 1700s and on into the 1800s, quite a few pioneers had moved into the Smokies. Because they had to have houses, furniture, fences, barns, and fuel, logging played an important role. If they were going to have anything at all outside of a garden, it had to come from a tree.
By the mid-1800s, folks started logging for a profit, but it didn't really grow into a big business because getting the timber out of these mountains was quite a chore. I mean, honey, one mule can only drag so many logs. By the turn of the century, this logs for money idea began to change. The demand for lumber in the East was growing, and someone was smart enough to say, hey, let's run a railroad back into these mountains. That, of course, made getting a large number of logs out of the mountains much easier.
While the Smoky Mountains were a gold mine for timber, it didn't take long for the logging companies to strip these mountains bare. The only sections of forest that were overlooked were the ones that were just too hard to get to. We now call these old-growth forests. So, the Smokies are bare, there's no work here, people are leaving to find employment elsewhere, and this breathtakingly beautiful portion of the eastern United States lies in limbo.
Then, in 1904, a librarian named Horace Kephart from St. Louis came to the Smokies and was so moved by the fact that all the timber was being stripped from these mountains, he decided to make a difference. He started promoting the idea of the Smokies becoming a national park. In the 1920s, some prominent people in Knoxville picked up on the idea and began raising money to purchase the land. Donations came in from everywhere, including a hefty $5 million from John D. Rockefeller.
The money was finally raised to purchase the 515,000 acres that make up the park, and in 1934, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in a dedication, announced that this area is now the Great Smoky Mountains National Park.
And now that we've learned our history lesson, let's go have some fun.
If you're planning a trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, let me suggest this. There's a place here called Sidney James Mountain Lodge. It's a place where you can hang your hat, kick back, relax, and let go. Go swimming, outside or inside. Get pampered in a jacuzzi room. Enjoy breakfast or lunch at the poolside cafe. Having a meeting? Yep, there's a place for that too. Sidney James Mountain Lodge, Gatlinburg.
When's the last time you wandered, or watched, or paused for a sight that takes your breath away? Here, we become adventurers, dreamers. We connect to ourselves, each other, and the passionately protected nature around us. This is the very best in all of us. This is our mountain. Come together on Grandfather Mountain.
Welcome to Three Jimmies. From the Three Jimmies. Bring your friends, bring your family, but most of all, bring your appetite. At Three Jimmies, you'll experience homemade entrees prepared with pride. We have award-winning wings, mouth-watering ribs, savory prime rib, fresh local trout, melt-in-your-mouth pulled pork, world-class artisan pizza, and hamburgers that were voted the best in town. Lounge on our patio, or relax at the bar and enjoy entertainment that includes open mic nights, karaoke, family trivia nights, and dance music with live bands. Three Jimmies, the best you've ever had.
One of the most popular places to visit while you're in the Smokies is Cades Cove. first European settler in Cades Cove was John Oliver and his wife way back in 1818. And by 1850, the population had reached a whopping 685. Today, Cades Cove has a one-way 11-mile loop where you drive past pioneer houses, churches, and a grist mill that dates back to the early 1800s. Talk about going back in time.
The best time to see wildlife here is early morning and late evening. Not to mention, that's when it's the least crowded. On the south side of the Smokies, in Cherokee, North Carolina, is where you'll see the elk that were reintroduced back into the park.
But wait, there's more. If you're into hiking, there's a number of hiking trails that originate inside the cove. You can go camping, you can rent a bike at the Cades Cove campground store, and if you really want to get off the beaten path, you can go horseback riding. So be sure and put Cades Cove on your bucket list. On Highway 66 between Interstate 40 and Sevierville is a place called Flea Trader's Paradise. It's a 40,000 square foot climate-controlled flea market that's filled with everything you could possibly imagine. From antiques and jewelry to musical instruments, military surplus, collectibles, and homemade fudge, just to name a few.
If you can't find what you're looking for, it's probably because you haven't gone around the next corner. There's a great restaurant here and plenty of free parking. Also, the inventory changes daily, and for all you animal lovers, it's pet friendly.
So if you'd like to spend a day or two doing what I like to call treasure hunting, then visit Flea Trader's Paradise on Highway 66, right next to the big yellow helicopter.
Nothing beats a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. And nothing makes that trip more enjoyable than staying in a luxury log cabin. Eagles Ridge Resort has 1 to 9 bedroom, beautiful cabins and chalets located close to all the action in Pigeon Forge. Hot tubs, jacuzzis, theater rooms, pool tables, and game rooms are all available, not to mention full kitchens and fireplaces. There's also a great swimming pool with multiple sun decks. All this and a spacious clubhouse for meetings, reunions, receptions, and group activities. So, on your next trip to the Smokies, don't forget, a cabin can make your stay one of the highlights of your trip. So give us a call and let Eagles Ridge Resort help make your vacation a memory you'll never forget.
There's one thing everybody wants to see while they're in the park, a black bear. There's about 1,500 black bears that call the Smokies home, and seeing one in the wild can be quite a treat, but just remember, as cute as they are, you can't get too close. What you need to do when you encounter a bear is increase the distance between you and the bear. Back away slowly. That's going to make the bear feel a little more comfortable. Now, if a bear were to show signs of aggression like a strong stare, popping his teeth, or swatting at the ground, then you need to show him you're in charge by standing your ground and making a lot of noise. In most cases, if you increase the distance between you and the bear, he'll probably say, "Okay, now we're good." Now, we've all heard the expression, "do not feed the bears," and it simply couldn't be said any better than that. Do not feed the bears. If you do, the bears start to lose their fear of humans, and they associate humans with the reward of food, and that usually results in the death of the bear, and nobody wants that. So once again, do not feed the bears. Watching you. I'm not kidding. Not kidding. You're on vacation. And why are you on vacation? To have fun. But you've always got your eye out for a good deal, especially when one person in your party wants to race go-karts and another says, no, I want to play mini golf, and another just wants to ride rides. Doesn't it make the most sense to find the place that makes the most fun and is the best deal on the Smokies? I mean, does a place like that even exist? It does. It's right here at NASCAR Speedway. So for one low price, you and everyone in your party can ride and play all day. You can even leave the park and come back and play all night, but you won't have to leave because the Pit Stop Grill has fabulous food, so you can literally stay and play all day. And I haven't even gotten started on all the fun that's inside. I mean, take a look at all the fun these people are having. Hi, girl. NASCAR. Hello! This is the part of the show where I tell you about some of the fun events that take place in Pigeon Forge and the surrounding areas. Now, this calendar of events is brought to you courtesy of our dear friends over at the Greater Pigeon Forge Chamber of Commerce. Now, you see that QR code right there? We're going to keep it up the whole time, and it takes you straight to their website. So get your smart devices ready, and here we go. Everybody loves springtime. That's why from March 1st till the end of May, the whole county celebrates Springfest. Festivities include a Mountain Quilt Fest, the third weekend in March, the Wildflower Pilgrimage during the third weekend in April, and Dolly's Homecoming Parade during the first week of May. Mid-April marks the Spring Rod Run in Pigeon Forge. Bring your vintage car, your lovingly restored masterpiece, your classic hot rod to the show for everyone to ooh and ah over. Or if you're just a fan of Motor City's finest, you can stroll around for days taking in all the timeless beauty. Celebrate freedom in the Smokies with the nation's first 4th parade in Gatlinburg at 1 minute past midnight on July 4th, and then spend the day at Patriot Park in Pigeon Forge for a day of live music and fun activities. Early in September over at Dollywood Splash Country is one of the Shades of the Past Rod Run. This show is open to hot rods and customs and classics model year 1972 or older. There will be plenty of vendors, giveaways, and prizes for the best cars. In mid-September, come check out the Fall Rod Run. It's pretty much like those other rod runs I told you about, except it's in the fall. The annual Smoky Mountain Harvest Festival takes place during the entire month of October. It's a countywide celebration of fall spectacular colors, with craft shows, sidewalk sales, live entertainment, a decoration competition, and Halloween at the Island in Pigeon Forge and at the Pigeon Forge Community Center. Well, that's all I have, kids. These are just the biggies. So for information on more fun events, exact dates and times, and more fun things to see and do, click on over to thepigeonforgechamber.com. Go. Get to clicking.
Welcome to Three Jimmies. From the Three Jimmies. Bring your friends, bring your family, but most of all, bring your appetite. At Three Jimmies, you'll experience homemade entrees prepared with pride. We have award-winning wings, mouth-watering ribs, savory prime rib, fresh local trout, melt-in-your-mouth pulled pork, world-class artisan pizza, and hamburgers that were voted the best in town. Lounge on our patio, or relax at the bar and enjoy entertainment that includes open mic nights, karaoke, family trivia nights, and dance music with live bands. Three Jimmies, the best you've ever had.
Make a memory at the Moon Pie General Store on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge with bakery fresh moon pies, gifts, toys, quilts, and tin signs. Browse thousands of books. Enjoy old-time candy and your favorite drinks. Work a puzzle or play checkers in this fabulous store where the past meets the present. that's our show. Thanks for watching. Now, before it starts all over again, I present to you everyone's favorite, the bloopers. The one thing that everybody wants to see when they're in a park, and seeing one in the wild can be quite a treat. Just remember, as cute as they are, the one thing everyone wants to see, okay, I can do this, you can do this, Redhead, you got this. There's about 1,500 black bear that make that. The one thing that everybody wants to see while they're in the park is a black bear. There's about 1,500 black bears that call the Smokies home, and seeing one wow! And what you need to do when you encounter a bear in the wild, what you need to do if you encounter a bear in... Now, if a bear were to show signs of aggression like a strong stare or popping his teeth or swatting at the ground, then you need to take charge. Then you need to show him you're in charge. That's the line. Then you need to show him you're in charge by standing your ground and making a lot of noise. And chances are, now, if he were to show signs of aggression, things like a strong stare, popping his teeth, swatting at the ground, then you need to show him you're in charge by standing your ground and making a lot of noise, like that, like that. Hear it? If you do, they start to lose their fear of humans and associate humans